Hey y'all, and yes, I know you guys understand and see the title of this video, and this is the topic that I have been wanting to talk to you guys about for the longest. And I think I'm finally ready to talk about it and just give my perspective on it. As a person who has, I've lived by this for months and I've seen through it, and I've also understood the power of it. And now that I see, once again, now that my perspective has changed, I can literally never see things the way I did before. And I'm gonna talk about how it's hard, okay? And I'm also gonna talk about how I understand that, when you react to toxic people sometimes, how not to feel too defeated by that, because I get it. I totally get it, right? So the power of no reaction and no response. This is one of those topics, and this is one of those life scenarios that actually apply in numerous environments. This could apply in a home environment. This could apply in a work environment or in a school environment. This can definitely apply online, in a relationship even. This can apply everywhere. And I'm gonna just say this because I'm not trying to sound like some type of guru, because I'm definitely not. But as someone who's applied this, and I've reaped great benefit from it, and to be honest, I applied this just naturally, not even trying. My personal life got busy between moving, going out, getting into a new relationship, and enjoying my friends for the first time in literal years. So I just was like, and I'm gonna tell you guys how my perspective changed, right? So, it's so crazy. I used to be a part of a very toxic reaction community, right? And while in the beginning I felt like these reactions were fun and these things were, harmless in nature, and I honestly was one of those goofies that thought I was making a difference, because I definitely remember saying that, oh, well, maybe if we, be able to get a chance to talk one-on-one with them, maybe they'll finally change their mind and get it together. And I literally have DM'd with, some of the people who I used to react to, all except for one, I think. And it never got better. It only made more drama for the channel, right? Which, and that's another thing. I think that the power of no reaction, you have to reach a space in your life to where you are no longer trying to entertain drama like that. Yes, you can cover topics and give your perspective in a very calm, type of way. But as far as arguing day in, day out with strangers on the internet, it's pathetic, honestly. And it gets tiresome. And when you realize that it's not going to stop, when you realize these people themselves are so caught up in their own toxic cycle, in their own back and forth, in their own everything, that the reason why you stand as the odd man out speaking against it is weird, because they've developed a whole lifestyle, culture, way of life around giving these toxic ass reactions and responses. And it's yikes, not everything deserves a response or, retaliation, which I know that just me personally over the years, I've done my fair share of trying to ignore people, trying my best. But some people really do try their best, day in, day out. They will dedicate their whole channels, their whole Twitter accounts, their whole everything to try and gain that response from you, because all they really want is that validation to apply and say, oh, see, I knew that by so-and-so responding to me was the validation that I needed, that they were a horrible person. And it's that's great and everything, but when you truly realize that even if you do respond, or even if you do the back and forth, or even if you do you can even go all the way to court, it doesn't matter. Especially if people are so literally unstable to where they can't help themselves and they don't know how to stop and they don't know how to pull back. And I'm not saying that that's an excuse. In fact, I find that quite pathetic. But it's yikes, okay? So nothing will literally restrain this person, because they are just that gung-ho, and it's really unfortunate, right? But then it's like, even when you notice that, it's like, oh yeah, I guess I'm just really not gonna react or respond, because when you do notice a person is that unstable, the best thing you can do is just, be far away from them, whatever. You can try to understand them as a person, but sometimes people like that, like, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like one of those things. But it's really interesting how, like, over the summer, because I had an amazing summer, right? Like with my friends and everything, just like going out, just like, me being with my sweetie and just coming off of vacation with my sweetie, and like in talks of doing another like winter vacation with my sweetie. You know what I'm saying? My life is totally different. You know what I'm saying? And my priorities are obviously different. And this is exactly why I responded in the way that I did during the times that I did, because I knew that if I got things off my chest then, the way that I did, and yes, some things were calculated, and you don't have to agree with those decisions, but I did what I did, and it all served me, my purpose, because I live my life in peace. And if anybody wants to jeopardize my peace, well, they're gonna have to find out. But in all seriousness, as I naturally pulled away from the platform to, really indulge in my relationship and really figure out like what, was going on there, and just catching up with friends. Like when you haven't seen friends in years, like you guys have to catch up. Like it's one thing to catch up on the phone and, get all the tea and like understand like what's going on, but it's another thing to catch up in person. And, you just like whatever, like you want to do brunch, you want to go out, you want to shop, you want to just do your thing, right? So I was naturally busy, but while I, retaliated and I said what I said, I had a lot of people who were upset, trying to pull me back into drama and mess, blah, 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 blah. And I would look at my phone and I'm just like, what? Like even on the discourse that I was in, because I just joined it, whatever, and I left like early, like I think I left like in July or something. I could not keep up even with that. I'm like, bro, I can't even keep, I don't even know what's going on. Like, cause it would get to the point to where it was so much going on, and so many people have so much to say all the time, every day, day in, day out. It's exhausting. And it's like, I get it if people say and do things that are offensive, but it's also like, how much am I personally going to care, especially as a person who's been a target of a lot of this? I have seen and heard it all against my character, against me, and I'm still here. So I'm sorry if other people can't cope as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not really my problem, so it's like you gradually get to the space of not reacting. You gradually get to the space of not caring. You gradually get to the space of never again. You gradually get to the space of not even wanting to do the back and forth. And so the power of not reacting is honestly a superpower in itself. I know people like Shira, say, how to be as unbothered as I am, et cetera, et cetera. It truly is a skill, because yes, some people will say or do things for the ultimate response and the ultimate reaction, and they're that desperate. And the thing is, like, when you really peep how YouTube works, especially like anybody who's starting a YouTube channel or, maybe an up and coming creator or whatever it is, you're going to see that people will try you on purpose to get content. They call that content farming, where they will send trolls into your chat to get you to react. And then, said trolls will name themselves, whatever your reaction was, or make a whole account, based upon your reaction. And it becomes like a whole meme, and it becomes merch, and it becomes stupid stuff. And it's just like, oh, well, that's how desperate you were to make some money? You couldn't just go out here and make honest money. You had to. And when you see it like that, and when you peep it like that, like it's going to look and seem stupid, regardless of what people think, regardless of how they feel, because you're going to see through the BS. And so what I would tell somebody who's going through this, like maybe even in a work scenario or in a school scenario, And I know that for younger kids who are in school, it is harder to ignore bullying, and especially if things get physical. Definitely take that to, the highest power. There is no excuse to get physical ever, okay? So in that regard, I do think that there are some things that are different, and especially like even if it's like online, whatever, if your life is being threatened, if somebody's like constantly talking about how they want to, harm you, do what you need to do with that, okay? And in most cases, you're actually going to be getting leverage, even if you do, try to remain civil or whatever. You're going to have a lot of, leverage, because it's going to show that you try to work with, the person who was a threat or whatever. And if they continue on, well, they just damage their own case, right? So when you're faced with these types of people and these types of scenarios, try your best to see it for what it is. I know that as human beings, that especially younger human beings, people in school, teenage, even college level, they want to be liked, okay? People want to fit in. But when you become an adult, fitting in is no longer cool. I've never fit in anywhere, ever. And I will never bend my will or my being or anything to fit in because I'm an individual. Because if I fit in, that means that I'm participating somewhat in groupthink. And even when I was a part of, a previous community, I did participate in groupthink, where it was very subconscious, like the behaviors were subconscious. And when you seek through that, and when you actively want to rectify that and modify it and change it and say, oh, actually, oh no, no more, I really hope you stand on business when it comes to that. Because you have to. Because people will try it, but they're not worth your time. It's not worth the reaction. It's not worth the care. You are better off saying, I don't care, and carrying on with your life. Because people, and I've heard many people say this, people who are always looking for a fight or always participating in back and forth, especially online or even in real life. I mean, negative people who are just like, overflowing with like negative energy, who are just like looking to project that, bullshit everywhere. Like, they are dealing with something internal to where it makes them feel better to unleash on other people. And no, that does not give them an excuse, but it lets you know that they're already operating at a very low vibrational point in their life. I mean, if you spend your time making dedicated troll accounts, to argue with somebody or to try to pick on somebody, or even kids who try to bully, and like, how many times do we often find out that the bully in school is actually living the worst life than the kid that they're picking on? The kid that they're picking on probably comes from a decent home. The bully probably comes from like a super broken home, barely even got the parents at home, had to bully the kid for the lunch or whatever, because they probably wouldn't eat that day because their parents are so trifling. You know what I'm saying? Like, things like that, like, they're not worth your time. If someone is trying to drag you down, they're already beneath you. And I know that I understand that this is a hard lesson to learn and even apply in life. And I think that what has to happen is everybody has to go through their own trial of it. For me, I did. I guess you could say I had to learn the hard way. But at the same time, I'm actually kind of happy the way things happen, because everybody learns on their own, timeline. I'm actually pretty happy that I learned that lesson here at home in Chicago. Like, setting my place up and adjusting and going through my move and being with my loved ones, because my real life became whole again, right? Like, I uprooted myself to move, right? And, the experiences that I had, even though that they were adverse, they still shaped me for my perspective today. And it also made me realize a lot of what I used to take for granted before I left. And I will never take that stuff for granted again. Like, I used to take literally Starbucks being able to deliver at 6:30 a.m. for granted. Girl, you can do Uber Eats and they will deliver at 6:30. That's a small thing I took for granted, but it's just like the convenience of the city, you know? But what I'm saying is that there are many things and conveniences of the city that I took for granted, bro. And I will never do that again because I just could not imagine doing so, right? Like I could never like do that again. And do not feel bad if you do end up reacting or popping off or snapping off or, you know, going the hell in on people who are like relentless and coming for you, targeting your loved ones, targeting your friends. Don't feel bad. Just eventually learn the lesson and try to see deeper and try to broaden your perspective and see that those people were never worth your time ever. And try to understand that even though, you know, you are a human being and you are just doing the best you can to get by, live life, do whatever, some people aren't as, you know, evolved enough in their own life journey to where they can't understand that even going after people or bullying people is actually a waste of their own time. If it's giving them fulfillment, if it's giving them a chuckle or a laugh, they are lacking self-growth somewhere. They're lacking self-growth, they're lacking self-control, they're lacking emotional regulation, they're lacking highly in their life. And I know that sometimes in the throes of everything, it can be very difficult to, you know, maneuver or understand, but it's just one of those things where it's the truth. And I'm happy to be learning this lesson, you know, at 33 and instead of learning it, could you imagine if I was like, you know, in my 40s, 50s, 60s, you know, plus like 70s, learning this finally, like it saves you so much stress. It saves you so much turmoil. And it's like, yeah, say what you need to say, defend yourself to a point, but then understand where like people just aren't worth your time or energy. Because at the end of the day, like everything is energy, and we are all only on this earth for like a short period of time. We need to be making the most of it, and arguing and going back and forth with negative trifling ass people is just not worth it. Okay, I'm sure that you can do something else with your day. I'm sure that there's a concert you can go to. I'm sure that you can just like take a drive in your car and just like ride down and just like vibe. I'm sure that you can just like, I don't know, take a walk or something, or go to the gym or something. I don't know, girl, order your favorite food. Okay, Starbucks is open until 10 p.m. in some places in the city. Get that, okay, girl. Get you a couple big drinks, shit. Do whatever you gotta do to vibe out, okay? That's what I'm saying. Like, but the power of no reaction is real. And just do be prepared that when you stop reacting and when you stop engaging, people will try harder to pull you back in. They're gonna stoop lower. They're gonna try harder. They're gonna come up with new narratives. They're gonna reach back into the past, like reach back, okay, to get the reaction. But it's like, whether it dawns on them or not, and this is the thing too. You know what? I'm gonna link the let them theory video in this. Whether they end up leaving you alone or not, because do also understand the possibility that people might not ever leave you alone, which it sucks, right? It's the truth. Even if they never leave you alone, you have to let them, okay? And understand that you are just like that girl to be like obsessed with, to where people are just obsessed with you day in, day out, and they can't stop talking about you and, you know, making their whole pages like dedicated to you, you know, whatever, good or bad, whatever it is, they're just obsessed with you. Like you are the topic, you are that girl, you are queen. You know, unless you have to take things, you know, further because people are just that psychotic, but let them, okay? And do understand that your non-response and your non-reaction will reap you more benefit, as in peace of mind, peace in your life, peace within, and understanding that, hey, you know what, I'm greater than this, I'm bigger than this. And if you're able to separate yourself from that, then honestly, kudos. But do what you can to withdraw and remove yourself from that situation and environment, and just let them, okay? And then do your best to never react again. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you all exactly how to do and what to do because I haven't been perfect. Nobody is. So, and I understand how hard this is. And I understand that some people just cannot stop. And they all have their reasons. And I get it. Even though for me it's like a waste of time, but not everybody is there yet. So I am understanding for people who are at different, you know, paths with dealing with that. And I get it. And honestly, like, my sympathy goes out to you, because when you really truly separate and like see it for what it is, you're gonna be like, oh God, why was I wasting my time with these people and this stuff? And you're gonna feel icky. I know I did. Once I really found out about the people who were like coming after me, I felt gross. I was like, girl, I've been over here fighting with the retirement home. That would be like me walking inside of a retirement home and arguing and fighting with them. Ain't that gross? I would never, like, you know, so it doesn't, you know, if they're coming after you or whatever, it doesn't matter, right? But some people have to learn in their own way. I hope you guys understand this video and like really peep where I'm coming from. Let me know if you all want me to talk more about this, because I will, and I can. There's a lot. And there's ways to pull your energy back. It's like literally do anything else. That's really what the tea is. But y'all let me know what y'all thought about this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Mwah.